Hi everyone, this is Ashley. I tried to make this video like a really long time ago, like February time, and I couldn't get it to upload. I think maybe it was the length of the video, so I'll try and make this one a little bit shorter. Back in December of 2013, it was our fifth or sixth month trying to conceive after our loss in April of 2013. And I found out I was pregnant again at the end of the month. I think it was December 21st, around there, December 19th. A week later, I started spotting. That was 5 weeks, and I started spotting. We were actually in New Hampshire for Christmas, and so I called my doctor and said, you know, I had a very hard miscarriage last time. What should I do? Should I come back? Because I didn't want to essentially bleed to death. And having no access to a hospital, considering, you know, insurance is, we have insurance in New York, not in New Hampshire. So, she kind of just said, if it's really light bleeding, it could be nothing, just kind of relax. The bleeding never got more than like a little bit when I wiped. But it was still there every day. I wasn't having any cramps. I felt okay until New Year's Eve. We got home and I was like, I just don't feel good, like, let's go to the hospital. So we dropped my son off at a friend's. We were at the ER for like, it may not have been New Year's Eve. I think it was a couple days before New Year's Eve. Yeah, something like that. We were there for like 7 hours, and they basically said, your uterus is the lining of your uterus is very red. We're not sure if this is a pregnancy starting or what's going on. So they said, get your betas drawn. We knew that the holiday was coming, so they got me like one day. But I did it at the hospital, and it was in the just over 1,000 or something like that. And I pretty much knew that something was going on and that things weren't going to work out. Anyway, so then New Year's Day, I started feeling really bad. Having weird cramps. I was feeling a very sharp pain right under my rib cage. Didn't know what it was. When we got into the ER, one of the doctors said, well, that has nothing to do with the miscarriage. So we spent another day in the ER, and this time we had to take my son, which thankfully he was a very good boy. But again, we spent the whole day. We got there at like 10, I think. I had like 2 or 3 internal exams. It's ridiculous. I had a very long ultrasound, made longer by the fact that I was having these, like, I don't want to say fits, but every once in a while, this is going to look really weird, but I couldn't stop my body from shaking, and I was like going like this, like trying to not shake. And when they brought me to the ultrasound, they laid me down, and that's all I could do was like, my body was shaking, centered around my abdominal area. So they actually had to have somebody come and give me more pain medication. Hi. Lily, no. And then they could finally do the exam. They did an external and an internal ultrasound. In the ultrasound, ironically, they give me this heavily pregnant ultrasound technician. I don't know why they do that. She said, you know, I think I see something, but I'm not sure. And then I had to, it was like the ER ultrasound, so I was in there, then they put me out in the hallway. So I was laid there for probably an hour, waiting for her. I could hear her on the phone going over the results with the radiologist. I guess she came back and said that she didn't want to let me go back to my room until she knew that I had everything, like they had all the pictures that they needed, which was obviously thankful. I didn't want to keep going back and forth, but I was literally in the hall on a bed. I think my son's gonna come back. Around 7 o'clock at night, so we'd been there for 9 hours. At one point I did almost pass out. I got up, I felt like a lot of fluid. I asked my husband to look to see if it was blood. He's like, no, it's not blood. I got up, said, oh, I'm gonna pass out. It's an awful feeling. Thankfully, they laid me back down, elevated my legs, and I didn't technically pass out. They came in, they said, you have a ruptured ectopic pregnancy, and you have to go, we're making space in the OR to have the pregnancy and your right tube removed. So that's what happened. Right now I'm working on one tube. That was January 1st. About 5 weeks later, I got my period. February I had an ovulatory cycle, but thankfully it was a short ovulatory cycle. Before I lost weight, I had really long ovulatory cycles, 50, 60, 70 days. This was only like a 30-day cycle or something like that. I was temping, I wasn't using OPKs, but I'm kind of proficient enough in my temping to know that I didn't ovulate. February, March we didn't technically try, but we didn't prevent, we didn't have sex super close to my ovulation, so I'm finding that if we don't have it almost on ovulation, that we're not going to get pregnant that cycle. March, April, May, AF has arrived. I ovulated, 17, 18, cycle day 17 or 18 in March and April. In May, I ovulated on cycle day 21, and this cycle, like May, June, because today's July 1st. I ovulated on 19? 17, 18, 19 was when I was getting positives on my OPKs. So right now I am 5 DPO. So I don't test. The only way you would ever see me have a live pregnancy test was if it was positive. So that's because I don't test. And I don't test unless I'm late. So that's about it. It's been 6 months, almost 6 months, February, March, April, May, June, July, since the loss of my ectopic pregnancy. I'm dealing with this one a lot differently than my first miscarriage. This technically wasn't a miscarriage, it was an ectopic pregnancy. The baby never would have survived. And that's the harder part in this, is it could have been perfectly healthy baby and it was just in the wrong spot. So that's really hard. But I also am taking it a bit easier in the fact that I know that this baby never was going to survive. It was in the wrong place. With my miscarriage, we don't know what happened. Why did I lose that baby? I'll never know. And that's probably what makes it harder. We never saw a heartbeat with this one. We never saw anything. And so that's what I'm dealing a little bit better with this one. I still cry and I'm still upset. And I had a really hard cry my last cycle day 1. Just, I hate getting my period. I hate it. It's not fair. It's just not fair, and I cried for that. I cry for every cycle that we don't get pregnant. So, July 11th, I have a doctor's appointment. I'm going to try and talk to them about what's our next step. We've been trying for 4 months-ish. I don't know how long they want me to try with this one tube, and how long they'll let me be unsuccessful before they help me. I'm hearing some not conflicting things. I'm hearing some things online that they will try and help you ovulate from your dominant side, or the side that has the tube, or that also that the other tube could pick up from my other ovary. It's just a crapshoot every month. I feel like, well, we tried really good timing this month, and I'm 5 DPO, and we truly could have been out 5 days ago when no tube my tube didn't pick up my egg. But then I have to wait these extra 2 weeks and just figure it out. So that's my update. It's really long overdue, but I hope to see you soon.